What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Gage. Welcome to the channel. Today, I am excited to share with you my Rapidmon deck profile. This is the deck that I have been playing for the Digimon trading card game the most recently, and I have been having a ton of fun. Terriermon is one of my favorite Digimon, so the fact that there is a deck that is centered around it that is now competitive, that I am able to take some very, very easy wins with, is something that I greatly appreciate having. I feel like Terriermon, hasn't really been the best in the past, but with some of the newer cards at its disposal, it is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and I am excited to share the build that I have with you today. So before I get into it, if you're a fan of this type of content, please remember to leave a like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. But yeah, let's just go ahead and hop right into it. So to start off, we are, of course, playing the one of the best eggs for the strategy for sure, and that is Gummymon. Simply, when attacking once per turn, if you have a green tamer, you draw one. Just very consistent. You are, most of the time, going to be able to have a tamer. You're playing many different copies of tamers, and they are easily searchable off of things like your training. So you're drawing a lot through your deck, so there is a very high probability that you are going to be able to find a tamer. So yeah, just having a very consistent egg that can help get you into more cards is always going to be ideal. So starting off with the rookies, of course, we are going to be playing 4 copies of the starter deck 17 Terriermon. Just a very fantastic card because of the fact that it has the once per turn main effect where you can play a green tamer card or a level 3 Digimon with Lopmon in its name. We aren't playing any Lopmon, so we're mostly just using it for the green tamer effect. But you can play it for a reduced cost of 2. So Willis is the main tamer that we are playing in the deck. So once you have this in play, this Terriermon gets you so much value because of the fact that you are able to play your tamers for very, very cheap. So the all turns when it's inheritable of while this Digimon is suspended, it gains 1,000 DP is also relevant because it that extra 1,000 can make or break and be the difference between whether or not your Digimon ends up surviving a security check. So yeah, this Terriermon is fantastic, so I highly recommend playing 4 copies for sure. And I am also playing 4 copies of the EX4 Terriermon. This one is the on-play searcher. I'll reveal the top 4 cards of the deck and add a 2-color green card and 1 tamer with Henry in its name. We are playing Henry as well. So the fact that it can add a 2-color card means that it's going to be able to get into your Rapidmons, your Mega Gargos, a lot of the top end that you really want to ensure that you have in your hand. It does have a inheritable that is more relevant for Alliance. However, this deck in particular is not centered around the Alliance mechanic, so the inheritable will not come up. So you're really just using it as for its on-play search effect, or of course just hard digivolving off of the Gummymon in the raising if necessary. I am also playing 4 copies of the BT8 Terriermon. This is also an on-play searcher. When it comes to any trading card game, I always love being able to max out on as many consistency pieces as possible, and this one lets you reveal the top 5 cards of the deck, add a Gargo or a Rapidmon in its name from among those top 5 cards. And then you could just go ahead and place the rest at the bottom of the deck. So yeah, again, it is just you're playing so many rookies, so there are instances in which you can just go for a rookie rush style if necessary. But of course, the main star of the show is going to be the higher end of the Digimon line, and so at least having the ability to search for those pieces is going to be very important. So again, just maxing out on as much consistency as possible. And I am playing the 1 Floodgate Terriermon, so this is the one that says all turns your opponent cannot gain memory except with tamer effects. There are some instances in which if you already have many of your top end established, you might just want to be able to throw this on top of your end board to be able to solidify that there's no way for your opponent to be able to mount a comeback, because a lot of the times if your opponent is able to just cheat memory, they might be able to make a comeback. So there are a lot of the times where I'm just like, you know what? I don't have another play. I already have everything that I need. So let me just go ahead and hard play this Terriermon, passing my opponent over. And now you're asking them to answer your board with a floodgate. So yeah, they're going to have to handle this. Again, worst case, it's just something that you could use to digivolve off of your egg or, things of that nature. So I just like having the one copy just in case. And then I'm also playing the Terriermon X Antibody from BT16. This one in particular allows you to digivolve for free off of your Terriermon. So again, just digging through as much of the deck as possible. And then of course it has the when this would be digivolve into a card with Gargomon or Rapidmon in its name, you would reduce the digivolution cost by 1. So you do have to ensure that you are digivolving into something with Gargo or Rapid in its name, which is going to be most of the cards on the top end, so in order to get that reduction. So yeah, it's very good for ensuring that you have efficient and cheap digivolution so that you can continue to play on your turn without passing it over to your opponent. And then even more importantly, when it has Gargo or Rapid in its name, for its inheritable, you also gain piercing. So this is fantastic because you have ways of being able to suspend your opponent's Digimon, and you can then go ahead and swing with your Digimon to not only take care of their Digimon, but also make sure that you can take a security for that swing as well. So just very, very high value card. This, if you're interested in playing an additional copy of this, you could take out the Floodgate Terriermon or maybe one of the Searchers to go ahead and play a 4th copy. But honestly, you're turning through so much of the deck, you are bound to see at least 1 copy of this. So 3 has honestly been working pretty well for me. And then, of course, the main stars of the show, we are playing the Rapidmon. This is specifically the Starter Deck 17 version variant. Very powerful card. It allows you to digivolve for 3 if it is digivolving from a Digimon with Terriermon in its name, so pretty efficient. It is a blocker with Armor Purge, so it's kind of it's pretty sticky and hard to remove, but it does have the all turns when it becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon and all their security get blanket minus 4,000 DP until the end of the turn. So that could be very useful in killing some of your opponent's weaker rookies, for example, but also just softening your opponent's Digimon and their security to make it easier for you to swing into their Digimon and take them out, or swing into their security and essentially ensure that you have a higher likelihood of surviving a security check. And then again, it has a solid inheritable where when it's suspended, it gains 1,000 DP. Again, these small DP increases can end up being the difference maker in the long run, and end up saving you in circumstances in which, you need to have a little bit more power in order to survive. A lot of I'd say one of the biggest issues with the deck for sure is that, you aren't really swinging for a substantial amount of DP even at the top end. So yeah, getting that extra 4,000 from the effect, but also just from the inheritable is important. And of course, you're going to max out on it because your top end is also able to digivolve from this Rapidmon. So yeah, you kind of have to play 4 copies of it for sure. And then, of course, I'm also playing the other Rapidmon. This one is specifically from BT8. This variant just so happens to be the alt art from the starter deck. Again, it has the ability to digivolve from Terriermon specifically for a cost of 3, and then it has Armor Purge, so again, sticky, hard to remove, and then when digivolving for each of your tamers, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then up to 3 of your opponent's suspended Digimon gain minus 5,000 for the turn. So very powerful effect. That minus 5,000 can end up blowing up a bunch of your opponent's rookies or just weaker champions. The fact fact that it suspends your opponent's Digimon means that, you know, you're suspending blockers, you're making it so that you can swing into your opponent's Digimon and removing those threats from the field. And again, the Rapidmons are important for being able to Digivolve into your top end, the more powerful Megas, for example. So, yep, that Rapidmon is incredibly powerful. And then just because I feel like the deck is naturally low on champions, I do run 2 copies of Gargomon. Naturally, it is going to be more preferred if you get into your Rapidmons, but even with all of the searching, there are just going to be games in which you need an extra champion, you need an extra way to be able to continue to Digivolve, and so Gargomon just kind of fits the bill because of the fact that it can Digivolve off of Terriermon for a cost of 2, so it's even more efficient than the Rapidmon, but it also has a solid effect when it becomes suspended. One of your Digimon gains jamming for the turn, so you don't necessarily have to give jamming to the Gargomon. If you already have another stack in play, you could go ahead and just suspend him to be able to give some of your more powerful Digimon in another stack jamming, meaning that, again, you are just trying to take away as much of your opponent's security, but ensuring that you survive those checks with every single swing. And again, like many of the other inheritables, when it's suspended, it gains 1000 DP. And yeah, stacking a lot of these inheritable DP increases, again, just makes you that much more powerful. As for the level 5s, I am playing the ultimate, the only one in the deck. I'm playing 4 copies of Rapidmon. So this one is just a fantastic and incredibly strong Digimon. It has the ability to Digivolve from both Rapidmon and Gargomon for a cost of 3, so fairly efficient. And then on play or when Digivolving, you could de-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. Then, if you have a green tamer, until the end of your opponent's turn, your opponent's effects cannot delete this Digimon or return it to the hand or the deck. This is fantastic because it essentially makes it so that you can guarantee that you keep your stack in play by having that protection effect. That protection effect is just so important to making sure that you have the ability to blast into your Mega Gargo, so your opponent always has to be able to play around it, even if you don't have the Mega Gargo in your hand. Then it does have the inheritable all turns when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon by battle specifically. You could straight up trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So overall, just an incredibly powerful card. And yeah, the deck certainly would not function the same way without it. So you have to play 4 copies, in my opinion. Now for a very powerful card, I am playing 2 copies of Rapidmon X Antibody. Definitely, if you can afford to do so, bump it up to 3 or 4 copies. Though I have found that with the amount of searching and drawing that I am able to do, I'm able to find this Rapidmon most of the time with no issues, and it's not as if it's always the go-to play. Of course, I am playing Mega Gargo, so a lot of the times I'm really just going to want to save going into the Mega Gargo instead, but Rapidmon is just a house. It is able to Digivolve for 4 off of Rapidmon specifically. Unfortunately, it is unable to Digivolve off of the Gargomon, so that is honestly one of the downsides of this card, but going over the effects, it has Armor Purge. When Digivolving, you straight up suspend all of your opponent's Digimon, and then you can attack with the Rapidmon. So that is just insane because it means that a lot of the time you are just going to be straight up guaranteeing that you're going to end up killing something on your opponent's board, because all turns while Rapidmon or X Antibody, but we're not playing it, is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, all of your opponent's suspended Digimon gain minus 4,000 DP. So guys, that is just absurd because first off, most of the time you're going to have a Rapidmon in its Digivolution stack. So that means, and this is an all turns effect, so that means that your opponent is under a very, very strict options in terms of being able to play their rookies, because as soon as they try to play a rookie with him in play, assuming that it's under 4,000 or less, which most of them are, they're straight up going to die. They just instantly die if they try to play a rookie. But of course, this is important for softening up the Digimon that you would then go ahead and delete by swinging into it. And then, of course, it has an additional effect where all turns when an opponent's Digimon is deleted in battle or by having 0 DP, you gain 2 memory. So if you just so happen to all turns play this, it blanket gives minus 4,000 to your opponent's Digimon. Well, if you deleted anything off of that, you just straight up gain 2 memory. So it's only once per turn. It's not as if like you kill 3 things and then you gain 6 memory. That would just be even more absurd than the card already is. But I do think that this is just a very important to be able to, because there are times in which you are able to digivolve into this, and then gaining that 2 memory off of killing something means that you are able to continue to keep it on your turn, thus making it so that you can continue to make even more plays. So yeah, Rapidmon X is just what makes the deck a very powerful threat. And so yeah, I am playing the 2 copies. Definitely intend on getting more in the future. However, I am playing 4 copies of Mega Gargomon, who is nothing to scoff at on his own. Probably one of the best ace monsters in the game. It has the ability to digivolve off of Rapidmon for a cost of 5, so that goes for your Rapidmon in name, so that does mean that he can blast from the Rapid X, but of course that most of the time it's going to end up being your lower end level 4s or even your level 5 Rapidmon. So pretty much you could just digivolve from almost anything in the deck, which is just insane. And then, of course, it has the ability to blast, so as soon as your opponent goes to swing, you can go ahead and digivolve into the Mega Gargomon, which will then trigger its when digivolving effect, which lets you suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers. Then 2 of their Digimon or Tamers cannot unsuspend or digivolve until the end of their turn. So this is just fantastic in so many different ways. It puts your opponent in a situation where they always have to take into consideration, dang, 2 of my Digimon, or even my Tamers, if they just so happen to be playing hybrids or things of that nature, will end up being frozen, and I will not be able to use them to continue to digivolve, which is obviously the name of the game. Being able to freeze even just for just 1 turn can be the difference maker in so many games. And then, if it wasn't already absurd enough, when digivolving end of attack, once per turn, you may unsuspend this Digimon. So there are so many times where you could go ahead and, if you've already swung with something underneath it, go ahead and digivolve, and then it can unsuspend itself to go ahead and swing again. Or you could just straight up swing with itself, end of attack, unsuspend, and swing again. So it has essentially 2 pseudo checks at your opponent, to like security attack +1 to a certain degree, right? Not really, but being able to unsuspend itself means that it does. And then even if you do and you end up passing turn, it has reboot. So you could attack for 2 times. You could attack 2 times, and then just go ahead and once you pass turn, you go ahead and reboot to stand it back up, and now you have a big blocker as well. So the only downside being that if it's removed in any way, obviously with all aces, there is the downside of the overflow mechanic, meaning that you will lose 4 memory. So sometimes your opponent can take advantage of that, but most of the time, if you are able to time this properly, you are going to be able to freeze your opponent to where even if they do remove your stack, they are basically unable to play. So yeah, Mega Gargo is fantastic, one of the strongest cards in the deck for sure, and one of the best aces in the game. And so that's it for the Digimon. So as far as options, as I mentioned earlier, I am playing the agility training, just an incredibly strong searcher, being able to search for any of your green cards. That goes for your Digimon or your Tamers. And then, of course, making it so that your Digivolutions are that much cheaper. Everything in the deck is already super cheap. So usually if you are able to pop 1 or 2 of these, you're going to be able to Digivolve into almost anything for either really cheap or for free. So I love the agility trainings for that purpose. And because we're playing so many Terriermon, one of the best consistency boosters for the deck is definitely the Double Typhoon. Reveal the top 3, add a green Digimon and a Tamer from the top of the deck, and then be able to, add those to your hand. So being able to potentially +2, it has happened in many instances. And then, of course, it has the delay effect where you can play a Terriermon without from your hand without paying its cost. So that is why I don't mind playing a ton of of the rookies on the bottom end, because a lot of the times if you are able to establish 1 or 2 double Typhoons and you have a bunch of Terriermons in play, you could straight up use the delay effect to play them for free and get searches for free. It is just insane. And then if it wasn't already a powerful enough card, it does have the security effect, where if it is hit out of security, you can straight up suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon and then place this in the battle area so that you could use its delay effect later. So yeah, this is just fantastic. I mean, the security effect alone can save you in so many instances in which your opponent might not be, they might be trying to go for game. Then all of a sudden they hit into a double Typhoon, and then bam, now they are down 2 swings essentially because of the fact that you are suspending 2 of their Digimon. So yeah, very powerful. I can't see myself playing any less than 3. And to round things out, I am playing 3 copies of Willis for one of the tamers in the deck. Just fantastic. On play, you can hatch a card in your breeding area. So if you do already have like the Terriermon in play that allows you to play a tamer for just for a cost of with a reduced cost by 2, you could use that if it's already in play to then play this. And say you already have an open spot in your raising area, now you can play this for 1 off of that Terriermon's effect and hatch another egg, speeding up your game plan, and then you could use that egg to hatch into another Terriermon and just continue to snowball from there. And then, of course, when you would Digivolve into a Digimon with Gargo or Rapid in its name, by suspending the Tamer, you can reduce the cost by 1, and you could just continue to stack these, making it so that essentially your Digivolutions are super cheap, if not free. For 2 other tamers, I am playing Henry. This one is not as strong. I mostly just play it for the start of the main phase. If your opponent has a Digimon, you gain a memory. So, of course, it stacks. So, any opportunity where you could just get free memory is going to be good. It does have a main effect where you could place this tamer and a Gargo and Rapid from your trash in any order as one of your Terriermon's bottom Digivolution cards, and then you can Digivolve into a Mega Gargo in the hand for a cost of 4, ignoring its Digivolution requirements, and then it gives that Gargomon Rush. That does not, that requires a lot of setup to be able to do, to be honest with you. So it doesn't come up all the time, but there are going to be instances in which it can. So again, as I mentioned, you're really just playing it to gain, for the memory gain effect, but hey, if the effect to use its main does come up, you're not going to complain about it. And then for the last tamer, I am playing 1 Mimi. Just very strong. If you have 2 or less memory, set it to 3, so it's your memory tamer. And then if you have a level 5 or higher green Digimon, which a lot of the time you will, you could suspend this to hatch a Digi-Egg, or to move a level 3 or higher Digimon from the breeding area to the battle area. So again, just speeding up the game plan, making it so that you are churning through as many Digimon and getting as many Digimon in play as possible, and Mimi helps you to be able to do so. So guys, if you are still around up until this point, you're a real one. I greatly appreciate you sticking around. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this profile, please remember to give a like and subscribe. And until next time, GG.